Welcome to this local church learning session from United Methodist Communications that will help you use text messaging to reach your congregation in this time of social distancing. Many people today have computers and internet in their homes. However, not everyone does or has the internet speed required to tune into your Facebook Live worship service. You might be missing an opportunity to keep the connection alive with your church members if you are relying on the newer technology to reach them. Since most people have a cell phone, we have a solution to reach your members more consistently and quickly when you need to send out updates or want to check in with everyone. This video is part of a series of learning sessions that is aimed to help your church in using technology to connect with and community even when you're not able to be physically present with one another. These sessions are timely for right now, but should be useful in the future, as we should always be intentional on reaching new people in new ways. My name is Stephen Adair, and I'm the Director of Local Church Services at United Methodist Communications, and I'm joined today by Matt Crum, Solutions Architect with our Global Communications Technology team, and Ashley Gish, who's our Director of Strategy on our Global Communications Technology team. I believe that we already have a solution at UMCOM for churches to bring text messaging into their communication strategy to reach their members more regularly. Ashley, can you share about this program and how it can help a church do communications more easily?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having us on here today.
Of course.
We have a program called Connect that allows church leaders and communicators to reach their members quickly and easily, and can actually be used with SMS, or commonly known as text messaging, Facebook Messenger, or even when necessary, automated voice calling. It was actually developed as a way to connect and share important information in response to the 2014 Ebola outbreak in West Africa. So it's definitely well suited for the times that we're living in right now, but also is a great way to just stay connected with church members and leaders, no matter where they may be. And definitely well suited for these times when we're called to be physically distant from each other, but we still want to stay personally connected. I often joke that when telling people about Connect that there are more cell phones than toilets in the world now. Cell phones are definitely ubiquitous, and especially so in the US. Now more than ever, they're kind of our connection to our friends and our family and our church and even our world. And so even when internet service may falter or might not be fast enough to stream worship service, many people can actually be reached via text message. I know my phone is sitting right here next to me, and probably most people who are watching are either on their phone or it's right there next to them. Especially when text messaging is done right, it can be a great personal way to contact people. We might get spam emails and friend requests from strangers and even unwanted sales calls, but it's pretty rare that we get text messages from a stranger that we didn't explicitly request. So it's a great way to share church news, check in with members, collect prayer requests, send messages of health and hope. It can really be used in a lot of different and creative ways. What's great about Connect is it is not just a tool for broadcasting messages one way, but you can actually make it interactive. So you could ask your church members a question and have them respond. You can even sort them into groups or do something that might make your life a little easier as a church leader who's looking to keep your church connected in these times. But I'll throw it to Matt to talk a little bit more about how it works and to maybe walk us through an example.
Thanks, Ashley. So I'm going to go ahead and get up a screen share going real quick for example that we'll roll through. I will say one of the things that's really neat about Connect and the program is that it's something that is a basic tool, and you need to be able to use your creativity to be able to leverage it in its most effective ways. And so there's a lot of, if you're trying to describe the things that you can do with a hammer and a nail, there's a few things that would come to mind to build, and that's what we're going to go and give one example. But there's so many different things that you can create with that tool, and the same in this case. So right now, I want to kind of walk through a use case where if you want to be able to keep connection with your church, and this is just very basic. So again, you can change some of the kind of basic principles here, but what we're going to do is just give people an opportunity to message in a prayer request or a request to have a pastoral call. And so we'll have a dedicated number to that. So you'll text in that number, and we'll walk you through kind of what that would look like and what that experience looks like. So right now I'm going to create a new flow. And again, this is just an example. Don't get hung up and then we can go through the technical details at a later time, which we can talk through. But yeah, we just need to name kind of the app or flow. And that's what you can kind of think of it as like an app that is run over text messaging. And so we'll call this test, and we'll say prayer, or let's see, let's just use test 2 again, but you would come up with some other keyword, and that this will be the word that you would text in. This is only one way to do it, but you could text in a particular keyword that you set to a number that you would get, that we can help facilitate for you. And then a particular app or flow will run that way. And there's other ways to go. If you have people's names and phone numbers, you can upload them into a database and then just send it that way, so they don't have to text in first. Those are 2 of the options, though, and kind of the main 2 use cases. So in this case, we'll do a keyword here. So somebody would text our number, the phrase or the word test 2, and then I already used test 2. I tried to use the 2 to not have that issue, but we'll go with test 3. All right. So basically what we need to think through now is what messages you would like to send out, what that workflow would be. You can even set this on a piece of paper first and then transfer it over here. That's a nice thing to do and an easy way to do. We're going to try to invite people to be able to, or if they're having a moment where they feel like they need pastoral counsel, we can initiate an email to the pastor to be able to say, hey, this person requested you to call them, please do that, and here's their number. And so thanks. So they just texted test 2. I should have picked a better word, but we're assuming that they want to interact with this application at that point. So we'll say thanks. Or let's say, welcome to the prayer support line for test UMC. And we need to be, so this will be our first message. And so let's then say, if they want to submit a prayer, we'll have them to respond with one, for example. And if they want to have a pastor to call them, they'll respond with 2. So say press 1 to have to submit a prayer request or respond with maybe is better. Respond to request a pastoral counsel via a phone call. All right. So this is the message that's going to come out, and you can see what will happen. There's a little simulator here, and so it shows a little phone. So you can kind of do the test and interactions there, and to do the prayer request, you would take, and as it says here, to connect nodes, drag from the red circle. You just drag down, and it creates a little flow chart. And it's probably similar to if you drew it on paper, what it would look like. Here, it's saying wait for the contact to respond. So let's say we are waiting for a response, and what kind of responses are we waiting for? Well, we're waiting for 1 or 2. And the categorize as, we'll say 1. 1 will be the prayer. 1 will be pastoral. Yeah, we'll just say pastoral there. And then the result, we could just leave as result 1, but it can help organize. That's what that's there for. And then, and for the prayer, so if they do want to submit a prayer, say, Bruce, you selected that you would like to submit a prayer. You can explain, if this was a real life circumstance, you could be obviously more thoughtful about where this goes and what kind of messages you have on here. But you could think through and say, this will be sent out to the church. You could even ask, should this be anonymous, or do you not want to be anonymous? There's a lot of things that can happen there. Whatever flow that you would normally do in person, whenever you're asking these things. Let's see, these will be distributed via the church newsletter. You can now respond with your request that you would like to share. So what's really interesting here is you'll see kind of this, how many characters you're using. And so you see 172 or 173, and then the slash, the 2. The 2 means it will take 2 messages to send out. So this is probably, it depends on, how you want to format, but if you can keep it down to 1, that's great. If it's at 2, just know that and have that understanding there. But again, we won't get in too much of the weeds here, and we can always go more into it a little bit later, for those that are interested or have questions. Okay, so we can go ahead and do a quick little run here to even show. What you'll see is you'll see these numbers that are coming up here. There's a 1 and it's in gray, and then there's a 1 that's in a big blue circle. That circle means these are how many respondents that are actually where they're at in the flow, where they're at in the application, or what path they went down. So if you see the small gray number, that's how many people went down this path. And then the blue bubble is how many people are at this step, like this waiting step. And so if I say 1, it'll submit, it'll finish, and you'll see the blue bubble went away because we're no longer waiting, because we got the response back. And then you see there's 1 here. So if you have 50 people that's responded, you'll see these break out into how people chose to use the application. All right, and so for the pastoral one, we'll say Pastor Doe will respond, has been notified and will schedule a time to chat. And so that's this is the new path that we, the alternate path here. And so we can refresh. And again, we're here with the blue dot, and now we can push 2, and you'll see that it comes in and goes down this path. So the thing that would be really nice though is it would be cool to just be able to notify that pastor automatically. And so we can do that as well. You'll see whenever you hover over one of these nodes here, you can click the plus and you can add another action. And so instead of just sending a message, what we can do is send an email to Pastor Doe. And then put in, whatever notification would be helpful for him to be able to know to follow up with that person. You can include the phone number, and you can use that using variables. Again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but know that those are options, is to be able to take different attributes from the contact, and be able to use those. And it kind of helps you. It'll help you sort some of these things out, and fill things in for you automatically. Or you don't have to do that, and the pastor can just go in and look and check and see who sent it themselves, depending on kind of the situation and whatever is easiest. But we'll say pastoral. All right, and we need to put something in. Please attend to the person requesting counsel. But again, you can make that to whatever you need it to be. And in the same instance, you can even make an email here. We can make an email. We wouldn't do it here. We would do it after they would submit the request. So let's so we can finish that one out too. So since we're waiting on something else, we need to drag down a new box. And that new box on this one, the prayer one, should end up being prayer request. This will be the result name. And so we don't have to fill anything in because we're not waiting for specific words. We're going to take whatever they send us back as what they want to submit for their prayer request. And it'll be saved as the prayer request. And then at that moment, you can send back your request, your prayer request has been submitted. Thanks. And we can go ahead and put, if we wanted to email that out, we could do the same thing. And there's some other tools that we can utilize too, as well. We could even send a text message to somebody to remind them once one comes in. There's a lot of different options there. Yeah, so now we can run it again, and we can do one. All right. Pray that people are protected during COVID-19 crisis. So this will be a real prayer request right now. Oops, there we go. So I hit the refresh on accident. Here we go. Let's do it again. All right, and so you'll see that ended up finishing, and so that's kind of the basis here of kind of the interface and how it looks, and gives you an idea of what you can do with it. I do want to quickly give a few notes on other things that you can do and interact with, and some of it might be technical. If it is, and you're not sure what it is, you can feel free to ask or just ignore it, and but I do want to say this can interface with other systems, and you can connect other people, and other things that have webhooks and ways to connect other applications into the system, and it can also be kind of a base that is a home for your contacts and database, and so with that you can create groups. So for example, if you were going to build a flow similar to this, that would be around getting people to sign up for small groups. For example, you could, for people that would want to be in, we're here in Nashville and maybe they're separated by geography. So maybe you would have a flow where you would ask people which small group they want to be a part of. And you give them those options of North Nashville as a small group, South Nashville being a small group, Midtown being a small group, and you would, and they would select, they would indicate which one that they want, and then you could go ahead and put them into a group on the platform, and then you can refer back to that in the future, not just it can be used as something that you can use, that you can just look and see who's a part of what group. But it's also great because if you have announcements for those particular groups, you'll already have them organized. And so maybe the North Nashville small group got canceled. You don't need to know who all is in that. You can just say, anyone that got grouped into here, I'm just going to go ahead and send this message out to these people only. And it's already organized for you, which is pretty nice. And you can make these flows as long as and as detailed as you want. We've used them in situations where people have done surveys with them, like longer surveys that help do some basic monitoring and evaluation of a particular program. What are some of the other ways that you've seen, Ashley, just to toss it back, that you think might be really interesting to people?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. That was a really good walkthrough of the platform itself. And we've seen it used in all kinds of different ways. Like I said, it was kind of initially launched to spread health messaging during the 2014 Ebola crisis. But we've also seen folks use it, even like midwives in some of the countries we work in Africa. We're using it as notifications for new mothers, for appointments. We've seen people use it. We're actually working with Global Ministries on a pilot project to use it to monitor medical inventory at clinics. So it's really flexible and can be really simple, but you can also use your kind of creativity to use it in really robust ways to support your church's ministries. So we really hope it'll be something that is useful in this moment when we're all looking to connect in new and kind of different ways, but also hopefully will be something that you can carry forward and find a deeper way to connect with people.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just to add on really quickly is, this might really be helpful in your context, and you really need to think that through. There are different ways of messaging, and each one of those has its own implications and its own culture around that. And this is one of those other ways. A lot of folks are still, we still use text messaging quite a bit, and it and it's designed for certain types of messaging and certain types of, it excels in certain types of communication, and it struggles in others. And so you can send small updates and alerts and notifications, and that's a great thing to do, and be able to ask questions and get responses. And this is where this is really strong at. It's not something that gets lost in email. So the read rate on these are extremely high. But with that, you don't want to spam people, and so and you also don't want to have these, really long, kind of nuanced conversations and messaging out there as well. Like, it's just not a great. Uh, um, just with the character limit, it ends up being a little problematic. But what's been interesting is that it can provide some new tools that really connect to people, and where they're at and how they use their tools that they have at their disposal already, and hopefully make your lives a little easier and help organize and automate some of this stuff, and maybe not have the group chats where everybody does reply alls, um, to the churches, and just you're getting blown up, by everybody saying cool. And there's a lot of that it can be really helpful for. If you want to be able to broadcast, have the flow to be able to broadcast back to people, though, maybe that's possible too. The tool is very flexible. There's a lot of opportunities. As Ashley mentioned, it's not just text messaging. That's kind of what we're focusing on right now. But on this particular um, uh, live stream, but there's also the ability to interface with Facebook Messenger. Messenger has things called Messenger bots, and so this exact thing could happen from your Facebook page, and go out and to all the folks, which has its own benefits. Again, it's similar to SMS, but there's some pros and cons associated with that. But something that was really interesting, we've done this, and we've used this platform actually at General Conference. And one of the things that people really appreciated was to be able to get these notifications as things are happening in real time. And if it's something that they want to be engaged in, then they can hop in on and check out the live stream. But some of these really long events, it's not everyone's able to stay glued to their laptop screens the whole time. And another instance was for bishop elections. So we had done this in across Congo and some other areas of Africa, and a lot of folks wanted to be able to know what the results of these bishop elections are, but they're at work, they're doing XYZ thing, and one of the stories that came back from this was from a nurse, and that nurse, their church here in the United States has a relationship with an annual conference in Congo, and so they wanted to pay attention to the voting that was going on there. It mattered to them, but she was at work, and so she really appreciated not getting blown up with text messages in this case, because we were using Facebook Messenger. And because she was like, I will stop what I'm doing and look at my messages, and I'm a nurse, and I would prefer it to only be whenever unless it's super important. I prefer that not to interrupt my day. But she loved the fact that you could do Facebook with it, because she could get on Facebook, and if she gets a message on Facebook, she doesn't stop what she's doing, but she's like, okay, whenever I get a break, I can go and take a look at this and respond back. And the other cool thing is you can run Facebook and Messenger at the same time, and through the same interface and the same flow. We have these things called channels, and so text messaging is a channel, Facebook is a channel, Twitter and Telegram are channels that are options, and Ashley mentioned voice, which is another option that I do want to mention in case somebody does have an interest in that. And it's another different experience to think through. So for the voice pieces, you're hitting different audiences, and you're able to, you might be able to add a little bit more nuance there. You're able to have tone, you're able to have more context there. And ultimately there's a difference in the relationship as well, especially in one of the instances we had bishops to be able to during a politically volatile time in Congo. The bishops there recorded a message, and we were able to send that out and call people's phones, and they would pick up and be able to hear their bishop's voice, talk them through what's going on. And not everyone had access to that, to a computer or a live stream or something like that, to be able to go forward and participate. And that was really special to people. And you can do the same kind of interactive stuff with voice as well. You can have them to dial 1 to do something, or dial 2 to do something else. Yeah, there are tons of different ways. I can go on and on and on about it. So I'll go ahead and stop myself now. And if there are any questions, I'll try to, I think Stephen will put up an email, and we'll try to respond to what we get on Facebook as well with these. But we would love to help explore some of these options with you if this is something that's interesting, or if maybe it might be interesting, but you're not completely sure what it does, because again, this is a lot and it's all kind of throwing at you at once. Feel free to ask, and we would love to try to help you find your solution. Ashley, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's great. I guess we'll throw it back to Stephen to wrap us up.
Yeah, so just, I've learned a lot from this session, because I didn't really even know much about this program or software or whatnot before having this conversation with the two of you. And it seems like it can be really quite basic for people just to need to make some quick, to be able to quickly communicate with a group of people or their whole congregation or whatnot, but also has a lot of capabilities to do a lot of different things. If, starting out, you want to be simple about it, and then as time goes on, get a little bit more in depth. Or if you already, if you don't need that basic thing, there's solutions here to really do some neat things to communicate better for a church community. So very excited to hear about that. We do at UMCOM want to provide you, if you're watching this service, to help your local church, to help you as a church leader reach your church members more easily. If you're interested in learning more about using this for your communications needs, please fill out the Google form that's linked in this post. We will be providing a training that you will need to complete to learn how to use the software, and that information on that training will be sent out to you soon once you fill out that form. I want to thank Ashley and Matt for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us to help our church leaders educate and encourage their members to have better communication, or to keep communication alive during this time of physical distancing. I also want to thank everyone for being here with us today. I hope that this learning session was helpful to you and your church, that has provided you a possible new solution to easily connect with your congregation during this time. I'm sure that you have additional questions, so please email us at localchurchservices@umcom.org. That's localchurchservices@umcom.org. And this video will stay on the Resource UMC and United Methodist Communications Facebook pages, the United Methodist Church's YouTube channel, and at resourceumc.org in case you need to rewatch or reference the content shared here again today. We hope that you will check out our other learning sessions coming out that will be added to this library of videos.